During the days of the early 90s, the Western branch of the Sonic the Hedgehog series had an interesting way of adapting the little critters being placed inside of Dr. Eggman's robots. Rather than small animals being trapped in machines that could be freed with a simple bop on the head, some media depicted this as a literal transformation from flesh and blood to steel and wires in a process known as roboticizing. This was done by the evil Dr. Robotnik as a means of controlling the population of the planet Mobius, who used these roboticized victims as a means of slave labor. For fans who keep up with the IDW comics, think of this as a precursor to the Zombots. It was a rather frightening idea, and probably the first time the Sonic series had ever dabbled with the idea of body horror. Not even main characters were safe from this, not even the main hero of the series, Sonic the Hedgehog. For today's video, I just wanted to take a quick look at all the times that Archie Sonic the Hedgehog was roboticized, as it actually happened quite a few times in the comic. With that out of the way, let's get a move on. To start things off, I wanted to mention the earliest instance of a roboticized Sonic in the comics, though this one isn't the mainline version of Archie Sonic. Rather, this leather jacket wearing fella is from an alternate universe, one where he and his version of the Freedom Fighters were partially roboticized by Dr. Robotnik. With this newfound strength, they were able to fight back against Robotnik up until the Doctor decided to roboticize himself, becoming Robo-Robotnik and terminating all of the Freedom Fighters, save for Sonic. This Cyborg Sonic was forced to flee from his zone, taking the Cosmic Interstate to try and find allies who would be able to help him stand up to the Metal Doctor. This leads to him teaming up with Sonic Prime, leading to a whole army of Sonics that work together to stop Robo-Robotnik. In the end, Cyborg Sonic takes Robo-Robotnik's head and leaves, never to be seen again aside from cameos. Not a whole lot to say on this guy, other than that he's a very obvious Terminator reference, and before anyone asks because of the leather jacket, no, he's not related to Evil Sonic, aka Scourge. He actually shows up in this story to help Robo-Robotnik. Probably the most famous instance of a roboticized Sonic comes from the Mecha Madness storyline, which takes place over Sonic issue 39 and the Sonic & Knuckles Mecha Madness special. This story actually begins with Sonic wanting to be roboticized, making his case to the rest of the Freedom Fighters that he could be roboticized with a neuro override attached to him, which would allow him to keep his free will, thus giving him a huge power boost that would allow him to finish Dr. Robotnik once and for all. Rotor rightfully points out how stupid this plan is because they tried this plan before with Sally and it backfired horribly. A steamed Sonic storms out to go and hit the gym, where he's suddenly ambushed and knocked unconscious by Knack the Weasel. But I guess you kids know him nowadays as Fang the Hunter. Knack takes Sonic back to Robotropolis to collect his pay from Robotnik, where he's promptly thrown out by a giant crab meat. With Sonic finally at his mercy, the Doctor throws the Hedgehog into one of his roboticizers, turning him into Mecha Sonic. After a quick test run against crab meat, Mecha Sonic is sent out to destroy Knothole Village, quickly finding Sally, Antoine, and Rotor. The best they can do is just avoiding his attacks until Bunny Rabbit arrives on the scene to give this blue blot a whoopin'. Bunny actually manages to match Mecha Sonic's strength up until Robotnik gives Sonic a boost in power that zaps her. Even after being downed, Bunny manages to stand up and fight once again, saying something that would get her cancelled before Mecha Sonic throws her down for good. It gets so bad that Knuckles the Echidna has to be called in to take care of Mecha, and he gets dealt with in even less time than Bunny. By this point, no one can stop Mecha Sonic from torching Knothole Village to the ground, though it has been evacuated beforehand. It gets bad enough that Sally and company have to wheel out an old roboticizer they had on hand to turn Knuckles into Mecha Knuckles while still retaining his mind so that he can better handle Mecha Sonic. They have what's probably the coolest fight scene in the entire comic series, which ends in both Mecha Sonic and Mecha Knuckles basically nuking Robotropolis. Knuckles is the only one left standing, and he brings Sonic back to the Freedom Fighters, where it looks like he's on death's door due to the damage he took. Unable to de-roboticize him via their roboticizer, Nicole manages to de-roboticize Sonic thanks to the mystical energy he had gained from his 1 billionth ring, turning him back to normal. And then they slap the cuffs on him. Remember that intro from earlier? The Freedom Fighters think that Sonic had gone off on his own to follow through with his plan of getting himself roboticized, which would have been a huge breach of their trust and could have gotten everyone killed. Sonic, issue 40, would go into Sonic's trial, where he has to try and prove that it was Knack the Weasel who kidnapped him. Amy shows up in this issue as well, and is basically the only one who believes that Sonic is innocent. That's cute. She also has a part in one of my favorite Archie Sonic jokes too. Sonic is allowed the chance to prove his innocence by finding Knack, taking him back to Knothole and proving his innocence. This storyline is basically hype moments and aura, but you know what? That's okay. This is simply the coolest set of issues from the early days of Archie Sonic, using a simple premise to deliver on some of the best action in the entire comic series. The art by Patrick Spaziante? Simply peak. I also love the designs for Mecha Sonic and Mecha Knuckles. Obviously, this isn't the same Mecha Sonic from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but I do think that Spaz did take some elements from that design to insert into this one. He was a fan of the actual video games, and I see some similarities, such as the sphere arms, the large balls at the hips, the extremely thin legs. It's a great design, and definitely the best roboticized Sonic that we ever had. We wouldn't get another roboticized Sonic for quite a while, not until Sonic the Hedgehog issue 118. This tale starts with Dr. Eggman and Snively finally having rebuilt themselves new robotic bodies after they had been destroyed in previous issues. If you're wondering why Dr. Eggman and Snively are robots, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. This is Robo-Robotnik, an alternate universe version of Dr. Robotnik who roboticized himself in an attempt to defeat his version of Sonic. Eventually, he had managed to destroy his version of Mobius, and with nothing left to conquer, he hopped over to the Prime Universe to try and take over that instead. After his all-black body was destroyed, he transferred his mind into a new robotic body, one that just so happened to look like the modern Dr. Eggman design from Sonic Adventure. He eventually got Snively to join his side and turned him into a robot as well. It's a lot less complicated to read than it is to explain, but I think I did that pretty well. Moving on. Right after the evil pair enter their new bodies, Sonic and the Freedom Fighters arrive on the scene to put a stop to the Doctor and Snively. Sonic and Tails move in for the attack, and then they get abducted by aliens, along with Dr. Eggman and Snively. You know, this actually happened once before. These generic-looking guys are the BEM. They abducted the heroes and villains to take part in an experiment to see which is better, flesh and blood or steel and wires. Rather than keeping everyone as is, Eggman and Snively are turned back into organics, while Sonic and Tails are turned into Mecha Sonic and Mecha Tails, with both of them keeping their free will. Both groups will be thrusted into combat, with the winners getting to be returned to their natural states, while the losers will remain in their transformations. A recreation of Robotropolis is created as the arena, and the battle begins with Eggman and Snively finding some sort of mech walker to try and use against Sonic. I don't know how that's supposed to prove that organic is better than robotic, but whatever. It basically does nothing, and Sonic and Tails quickly curb stomp Eggman and Snively, ending the battle. Sonic and Tails later return to Knothole Village, back to their usual fluffy selves, with Eggman and Snively now on the loose while also being flesh and blood. They had to have Eggman get abducted by aliens because he's not a robot in the video games. Jokes aside, this story is honestly a lot of fun. This was around the time when the Archie Sonic comics had begun to inject more light-hearted stories back into the series, with this one being written by Benny Lee, aka Carl Bollers, who was basically the main writer from the book from the late 90s to the early 2000s. The pencils here were done by another longtime Archie Sonic staff member, Stephen Butler. I've always had a big appreciation for Stephen's artwork in the Sonic comics, and I think this is one of the best issues he ever did. Usually people are quick to point out the way he draws female characters, and sometimes unfortunate panels with Eggman and Shadow, but I think this all evens out for a pretty cool art style. His action scenes are always great, and since the story is just one big action scene, he really gets to show his stuff. The colors here are also super pretty and are great on the robotic characters. I guess my only major criticism is the lack of colors on Mecha Sonic and Mecha Tails. This is just the Mecha Sonic design from Mecha Madness, but it's just plain silver. It's such a shame because this design is once again super detailed and cool looking, but the lack of a blue paint job seriously sucks. This isn't a serious critique, but Tails is also super pissed in this story for whatever reason. Bro thinks he's tough or something. Overall, this is a pretty fun but extremely light read. I am taking the time to talk about one panel from the Worlds Collide crossover between Sonic and Mega Man. A design for a new roboticized Sonic appears when Eggman is talking with Dr. Wily about taking over his world, where he imagines Mecha Sally standing next to a robot Sonic. To fit with the more Sega Sonic art style that had been adapted to the comics since 2006, the classic Archie Mecha Sonic design has been ditched in favor of something more akin to Metal Sonic, as that was the design that most heavily influenced Mecha Sally when she was reintroduced in Sonic issue 230. This design doesn't do it for me, it just kinda lacks personality, but hey, at least it padded out this video, so it gets points for that. Sonic and Mega Man Worlds Unite would be the final time we'd see a roboticized Sonic in the Archie Sonic comics. In the previous Sonic and Mega Man crossover, all of Sonic's friends had been captured by Dr. Eggman and Dr. Wily to be turned into the roboticized masters, with Sonic and Mega Man having to rescue each of them. This time, it's Sonic and Mega Man who get captured and turned evil at the beginning of the story. During a run through Green Hill, Sonic gets attacked by 3 members of the Deadly Six, Zavok, Zor, and Xena, who are all working under the Mega Man X villain, Sigma. Thanks to the help of Genesis Portal, Turtles, the fight gets taken to Station Square for a bit before ending in an Eggman junkyard, where the Six use their control over electronics on the old Badniks to swarm Sonic, taking him out. In the meantime, Zaz, Zamam, and Master Zik have also been dealing with Mega Man, taking him out by forcing Rock to shoot himself with his Mega Buster. Hardcore. The two heroes are taken back to Sigma's base to be roboticized, with Sonic becoming Sonic Man and Mega Man becoming Mega Man. Very clever. Sonic Man is sent to Mega Man's world, with Mega Man being sent to Sonic's world, both tasked with starting Unity engines, devices which would allow Sigma to harness the power of both worlds. Sonic Man tears his way through Dr. Light's robots, with Mega Man proving to be too much for Sonic's friends, with both brainwashed heroes activating the Unity engines, bringing both worlds together. The two begin fighting each other, which was a part of Wily and Eggman's plan, as the two had been forced to serve Sigma against their will. Sonic and Mega Man eventually cure each other, and the two meet up with their friends to put a start to stopping Sigma. I've already given my thoughts on Worlds Unite as a whole in a video no one watched, so no point in talking about it here. Let's just talk about the Sonic Man stuff. First of all, Sonic's defeat at the beginning is really stupid. It honestly would have been better if he had just been overpowered by the Six. You're telling me he couldn't just run away from Badniks? This story is just off in general. This was written by Joel Enos rather than usual Archie Sonic writer Ian Flynn, and his dialogue is just really weird. Even Tracy Yardley's art can't save this one, as his panels and fight scenes are just super crowded for some reason. The Mega Man side of this was way better, as that one was written by Ian with some really good art by Ben Bates. The Sonic Man's design is okay. I wouldn't say it follows the designs of the roboticized masters from the first crossover, but I just chalk that up to Sonic Man and Mega Man being constructed with technology from Sigma's time period. All of his attacks are styled after stuff from the Sonic games, such as a Buster that shoots mini spin dashes, a ring launcher, even the spin slash from Sonic Extreme shows up. That's really cool. Take that stupid W off his head and put him in a story that doesn't suck, and I'll say he's alright. While I'm here, I'll also give the same props to Mega Man. His name is way funnier, and I like his design more too. His attacks are also based off elements from the Sonic games, such as bumper fists, an egg drill launcher, and one of those egg hammers from the Sonic Advance games. And that's honestly about all I have to say here. If you enjoyed this video, then just feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good jazz. For longtime viewers of this channel, sorry for the lack of uploads as of late. Life had just gotten a little busy for me, and I think I just needed to take a major break from this channel so that I could recharge my batteries. And I think a shorter video like this one would be good to come back with. Not sure what my next upload will be after this one, but I hope you check it out when it eventually releases. With all that said and done, have a nice rest of your day.